Welcome back to Network Africa. We still have the Voice of America's Nick Long talking to us about Morocco's decision to rejoin the AU. Nick, is Morocco in any way remorseful about its decision to have left in the first place?
I haven't heard that Morocco has expressed regrets. That was not included in the King of Morocco's message to the African Union, in which he's requested his country's readmission to the Union. And I think this has been a very bitter issue for Morocco, the Polisario Front and the dispute over Western Sahara. I doubt if Morocco would at this point be expressing regret.
How are the AU leaders reacting to the news?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear your question.
And how are the AU leaders reacting to the news coming from Morocco?
We don't know. The AU General Assembly, which has just had its closing ceremony, we don't even know if they've held a vote on this yet. Idriss Déby, the AU chairman, did not make any reference to the Morocco issue in his closing remarks. There is now a press conference going on with the African Union Peace and Security spokesperson, Commissioner, in which, no doubt, people will be asking what is the outcome. Have the African Union leaders decided in majority to accept Morocco's request for readmission? And will this mean that Western Sahara, or as it calls itself, the Arab Democratic Republic, the Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic, does this mean that they will have to leave the assembly? There are some in the African Union who would want Sahrawi Arab Democratic Republic to stay, even if Morocco were admitted as a member.
Thanks again, Nick, for joining us on Network Africa. Well, elsewhere, United Nations officials, officers and Chinese officials on Saturday held a memorial service for the two Chinese peacekeepers, Li Li and Yang Shipeng, who were killed in the recent fighting between two South Sudan rival army factions in the capital of Juba. South Sudan's presidential spokesman, Ateni Wek Ateni, said on Sunday that his government regrets the death of two Chinese peacekeepers in the conflict between forces loyal to President Salva Kiir and First Vice President Riek Machar.
Violent clashes erupted in the capital Juba on July 7th and finally came to an end on July 11th after President Kiir and the Vice President Riek Machar ordered a ceasefire. In an interview in Juba, Ateni said the ceasefire will continue to be observed as the country seeks to return to normal.
It has been calm since the start of coming into force of the order by the President to cease fire and to cease hostilities. Although the President started it as unilateral, but it did hold, given that, the forces of the IO were no longer in Juba until new arrangement is done for them to come back to Juba. So the general situation is that some people are still precocious, but it has almost come back to normalcy.
South Sudanese government regrets the death of two Chinese peacekeepers who were killed during the clashes in Juba.
It is unfortunate. We condemned the killing of peacekeeping force. The two people from peacekeeping force who happen to be Chinese. Made it even worse because China is a friend of South Sudan, and as government we regretted this, and we want to investigate it matter to see whether it was that our forces fired friendly, because sometimes there are friendly fire, and what we want to tell the people of China and the government of China is that we are still friends. This is a mistake. It was not intended. So we were not fighting the United Nations. And so we regret this, and we tell people of China to bear with us.
The President has also urged the Vice President to come back to the transitional government as soon as possible.
People living with HIV are vivid reminders that health is a human right, and that's according to the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, who is participating in the 21st AIDS Conference, which has begun in Durban, South Africa. The UN scribe was part of a panel along with South Africa's Deputy President and South African-born Hollywood star Charlize Theron at the Flag Off press conference. Over 15,000 participants, including researchers, corporate bodies, activists and government agencies, are attending the 5-day conference.
There are very many meetings and marches here, all centered on how to fight and end the menace of HIV and AIDS by 2030. The United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon says despite advancements in this fight, it's important to break down existing barriers to access to treatment.
To end this epidemic, we must close the gaps that keep people from accessing services and living with dignity. We have to expand resources, science and services, and we have to protect and promote the rights of people living with HIV.
We need also to design and implement programs that address the needs of key populations that are at risk. We are optimistic that the deliberations here in Durban will yield commitments from the international community to invest in research as well as in development that could lead to new opportunities and options for a vaccine and a functional cure.
The representatives of the International AIDS Society, the organizers, gave a picture of what's been done, and what's still to be done.
We must make wiser and more effective use of the prevention tools that we have and press ahead in our scientific quest to find methods that will yield greater results.
For Hollywood star and activist Charlize Theron, the adolescents must be included in these discussions if progress is to be made.
I think until we actually effectively reach these young people and get them effectively engaged, to empower them to want better for themselves, to have the tools, the resources to do that, nothing is going to change in the fight of this epidemic. We will be maintaining AIDS.
The core push here is how to break down the barriers, political, social and economic, standing against access to HIV and AIDS treatment to all those who need it anywhere they are in the world. In the next few days, we will be seeing many more discussions, information sharing, at the end of which we will have a second Durban declaration from the Albert Luthuli Convention Center in Durban, South Africa. Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
4 police officers in Kenya have been accused of killing a lawyer and 2 others. The 3 went missing in June after the lawyer, Willie Kimani, filed a case against a police officer on behalf of one of the missing, Josephat Mwanda. News of their deaths, along with their driver, Joseph Mururi, sparked protests against extrajudicial killings in Kenya. More so because a week after they went missing, their decomposing bodies were recovered in a river in the outskirts of the capital, Nairobi. The policemen faced 3-count charges for murder. Well, Nigeria's headline inflation increased to 16.5% in June from 15.6% in May, as the rate continues to increase for the 5th consecutive month. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, the 0.9 increase is attributed to a rise in energy costs, imported food items and related products. During the period, the food index rose at a faster rate of 1.4% month-on-month due to an increase in the prices of meat, vegetables and cereals. While the urban index also jumped 11.9% in June, the corresponding rural index increased from 10.4% to 10.9%. Well, when Network Africa returns in a moment, Channel's business news editor Bosin Omofaye joins us to talk more on the June inflation figures. Please stay with us.